UX designer and you don't even know where to start your first design project from. You probably would have opened Figma or Adobe XD and you would have just been staring at the blank canvas looking for what to do. And I'm sure you would have been lost or like, oh, what do I do? What step do I take from this? I know that people use Figma, I know people use Adobe XD, but what should I do? Well, we're here for you. My name is Oluwaseunfumi Adediro. I'm a product design tutor at DCS Academy and we are here to guide you through this journey. And in this video, I'm going to take you step by step through a simple UI project from concept to finishing. So you can start designing effortless. I'm going to be designing a login screen for a fintech platform, and it is simple but good enough to show you about the basics from color to typography to your layout and spacing. Why don't you come along? Let's get started. So let's start by opening a new file. So I'll be using Figma for this. So you create a new design file. So I'm going to rename this design file. So this is Figma and this is Figma canvas. So you go to that top left corner and rename it. You're going to see on title, then click on it and rename it. Now this is the left panel and the right panel, and you can see the pages. So you can create and rename pages. All you have to do is just to double click on it and rename that particular page, or you can click that plus icon and add a new page. But for this, we wouldn't need a new page. So I'm going to delete that new page. Then we're going to start by creating a new frame. So I'm going to be working with iPhone 13 mini frame, but you can use any frame size that you prefer, and then you can rename that particular frame. So just highlight it, click on it, then rename it, and then you can add corner radius or border radius to give it that mobile feel. Since we're using a mobile device, that's why I like having the rounded corner edges to make it feel like I am working on an actual mobile frame. Then the next thing we're going to do is to create our layout grid. So this grid will help us with our alignment. So for the mobile, I'm going to be creating 4 columns. That's column count of 4. Then we're working with a margin of 20. You can work with a margin of 20, 16, or even 24 pixel. Then for the gutter, we're going to be working with 16 pixel for the gutter. You can also use 20 for the gutter. So this is the margin, and the gutter is the white spacing, this spacing in between, that is the gutter. Then this is our column, this red is our column. So the margin, the gutter, and the column. So this is all for alignment and to keep our design neat. Now we're going to be using rectangles. So a login screen typically includes the logo or the brand name. That's what we're going to be creating using rectangles. Then the email or phone number input field, the password input field, a login button, then a forgot password, like it's a link or the tertiary button, that's for the forgot password, and also a create account link. So we're going to be using the rectangles like I said earlier. After creating our first rectangle, that is for the logo. Now the second rectangle, now you can see the way I created the second rectangle, and I'm using my alternate key on my keyboard for alignment. So it helps you know where to start and where to end with the margin. So the left margin and the right margin, I have to make sure that I fill it in. So now you create your text, your placeholder text. We're going to be using email text here instead of using the normal text, and always checking with your alignment. Now I am going to duplicate this input field. So use your alternate key. You long press your alternate key on your keyboard, then you drag it down for you to duplicate or drag it to where you want it to be. So after creating our password flow, we use a rectangle again for the CTA. So we're just using rectangle, so nothing serious at this point. So make sure your design is well aligned. Emphasis on alignment. Then after creating the CTA text, this is just a placeholder. You can use your login button text. Then after you have done this, make sure you align it properly. Then you can reduce the font size if you want to. Now you know that this is the wireframe. You can do the wireframe as a low fidelity, that's a pen and paper. There are 3 types of wireframes. You have the high fidelity, the mid fidelity, and the low fidelity. But we're just doing the high fidelity using a digital tool, which is Figma. So after this, just make sure that you're aligning everything properly. You can add the frame for the CTA button and just align everything properly. So it's already looking like your designs already, like the finished design. It is one step closer to your visual design. Then we go in with the last text, and note that doing a wireframe or creating wireframes, you don't need any fancy color, you don't need any fancy font. You're just trying to get the structure right with the wireframe. So in the wireframe, you can use rectangles, you can use lines to create the structure of that particular design you're trying to create. And now we're almost done with our wireframe. So just align everything properly, then we're done with the wireframe. Now duplicate this. You can use Ctrl D or Command D, whatever keyboard you're using, or you can also use the alternate key. That's the alternate key on your keyboard. Drag the alternate key and move it to where you want that particular screen to be on. So now the first thing we're going to go in is our logo. So we're going to create a frame. So just create a frame on your keyboard. You can use F on your keyboard. F is a shortcut for creating a frame on your keyboard. So we're not creating a customized, we are creating a customized frame. We're not using Figma frame this time around. You know, initially when we were creating the phone frame, we used Figma customized frame. But now we're just drawing our own customized frame, a manual frame. Let's put it that way. So we're creating our own frame. And since we already have our wireframe, we're going to turn it into a UI design. That's a visual design I said earlier on. So we're going to be working with a typography. We're going to be using Popping. I know I'll be using Popping. I use Popping for the wireframe, but I'm going to also use Popping for this, just to make it feel elegant and trustworthy. So to get this logo, all you have to do is run a plugin. So you run your plugin and you bring in this logo Ipsium, just like the placeholder logo. Then you change the color and you reduce it in size. Then you place that logo inside this frame you have created already. Now you can still see that there's a need to reduce your logo, so you can resize it and always position the layout. So that is to center align the layout horizontally and vertically. Then we change the logo color to blue. So we're going to be using blue. Blue signifies trust. And know that in we also have color theory in designing, so you can know the colors and their meaning. It is very, very important as a product designer. And since we're working with the fintech, that's why we are going with the blue color. Now the next thing to do is our input field. Now we're going to design our input field with light background color. Then you can also use border if you want to, and corner radius. So this is to show that the user is meant to add an input inside, like their email, their phone number, their first name, their last name, their password, confirm password. That is what input fields are. So for this, we're going to be using a light shade of blue. Then our email, well, in our wireframe, we worked with email and password. So we're going in with our email and password. So we're going to change the font to Popping. We're using Popping. Then the weight, we're going to leave it in the size. We're going to leave it in 14. Then we're going to change it, the weight, to medium. Now, for a single line text, always leave it in auto. But for a text that has 2 lines, you can add a number to it. So for this, instead of working with the black color 0000 for black, we're going to be using 1010 for black. So I don't like using 2 black or the thickest black for designing because of accessibility feature. Now we're going to put in a placeholder inside that frame. Now this signifies that the user is meant to know that this is where I'm going to type or add something inside. Then give them an example, like e.g. James Doe. So this shows that their email goes in here. So whenever you are creating an input field, you can always put a placeholder, or you can signify that they should put in or enter their email address. Always signify this because some people get confused along the line. This is where you simplify the UX for your users. Alignment is very, very important in your design process. Always make sure you're aligning. Now you can use your alternate key to align and also have specific numbers that you use for your alignment. Now we're going to duplicate that first input field and change it to the password. So now this is the password input field. Now we're going to use enter a password. So we're going to be using the Iconify. So Iconify is a plugin in Figma that has so many icons, and Iconify is versatile in icons. So we're going to be using the eye close icon for our design. So bring in the eye close icon and place it in where you want it to be. Now also remember your alignment, very, very important. And now we go in with our forgot password text. So we're going to change it to the blue primary color. That is the blue we're using. So just copy the color that you have been using, or if you have a style guide created already, it will be easier for you. But since we don't have our style guide created, we're just going to be copying the color. Now we're going to align properly. We're going to be using auto layout. Auto layout is a part of design or a part of the UI that ensures proper alignment and spacing in your design. It gives you good spacing and padding so your design can feel breathable. Then we create our CTA button using our primary color. Now remember, the CTA button we are going in with is log in. This is a login screen for a fintech platform. Do not forget that. Always have that at the back of your mind, the particular product you are designing. And in designing, you don't just venture into the screens. There are so many things to do before you start designing a screen. So you can use your wireframe, your user flow, your information architecture. All this makes your design easier and well organized. Do not forget this. And there are some of the mistakes most beginners face while designing. It's not about designing screens, it's about knowing how to design those screens properly. So after creating this, we're just going to add auto layout to this. Remember, for your spacing and alignment also, so to make everything easier. Now we are done with our screen. All we have to do is align them properly. Now in the login flow, there are different states that the login has, and I'm going to be showing you some of these states quickly. Now we're going to duplicate this screen, so I'm going to be showing you another state. So we're going to make our button inactive. So remember, we did not use components. We're just going to create an inactive button, just a representation of the inactive state, and change the button color and the text color. So because this is an inactive state, we want it to be the first state that the user sees when they come into the login. Then now they will be inputting their email. That is the first input field here. So you can add subtle border or stroke on this particular frame, so it shows that this frame is being filled, or an action is being taken in this section. Now the third frame that we're going to use, we're going to first of all copy that inactive button and paste it in the second screen. Now I know that the user is not ready to click. Then now this screen shows that the user is ready to click. We're going to put in our password being filled already. So remember that in the password it is always cycle dot or dot. So we're going to be using cycles for this. And now our password is ready. So we already have our screen. Our screen is done already. The 4 design screens, our wireframe, inactive state when a user is performing an action, that is in the input field. Now we're going to remove all our grid layouts, and now you can see how the design looks. It's already looking almost done, just because we don't have our logo already, but I think it is already good to go like this. Thank you for watching this video. If you know you found this video helpful, do not forget to like, share and comment on this video. Do not also forget to subscribe to our YouTube page, DCS Academy. And if you know you're having difficulty trying to transition or move into UI/UX design field, do not worry. DCS Academy got you. All you have to do is just to follow up with us, message us on all our platforms, reach out to us, and we'll be there to reply to you swiftly. You can transition from being a beginner in the UI/UX field to becoming a professional at this. Do not forget, we are here to help you at DCS Academy. Till we meet again, bye.